Iems are a luxury. Once you get a pair, you want another and then another. You almost wish you never discovered them in the first place, because there are so many with so many different attributes and characteristics. It gets expensive and even addictive. Although, to save you some money and trouble, most cheap ones are just copy-paste of the same sound signatures and same old boring graphs and characteristics. Only one stands out, personally, in the budget end of things, the truthier Gates. I am getting ahead of myself a little bit here, let me give you a quick rundown to start. And if I make any mistakes, feel free to correct me. So the difference between gaming headphones, my Bose and or Iems is the tuning. So much so that Moondrop makes their own earbuds with their own tuning for them. Nowadays, all of these devices can do surround sound using software or DSP. Gone are the days where you get a cheap headphone or earbuds that lack surround sound. Surround sound meaning like footsteps or just directional audio. I remember having the Asus Cerberus and it lacked surround sound. I hated the fact that it costed 30 euros and yet it lacked the core functionality for it was marketed for. Only cheap, good pair at the time was the Logitech G432. Not without its issues of course, such as the weak plastic construction that eventually breaks, and as with any headset, the gaming hair. Iems eliminate all of that with redundancy. Your cable gets damaged, just replace it. You don't like the sound, just EQ it. And it does all of that without any closed ecosystems that forces a bunch of proprietary software or hardware. Not to mention the dreadful gaming hair. Okay, with that out of the way, let's deep dive into Iems and my love letter for them. I wish I found out about them earlier, and I wish they became mainstream sooner. I'm tired of company marketing that forces you to overspend for mediocre specs and planned obsolescence. I no longer need to sit and fix my hair before heading out, and no longer need to overspend in order to avoid being bullied and being called poor. It's great! It's crazy to think that this thing is better than this, even though it's so much smaller. Although both my Bose and my Nothing earbuds serve a specific function that Iems cannot. For example, I use the Bose during the colder months in order to keep my ears from freezing off, and my Nothings for when it's warmer or when I'm working on frames, or something that requires me to be nimble. What all of these premium price leading brands lack is sound quality, despite the premium price. So the Bose coming in at 490 USD, the Nothing earbuds 2023 model coming in at 130 USD. Even cheaper Iems that are prone to distortions outperform both my Nothing earbuds and my Bose Quiet Comforts. Nothing you notice if you're busy working on something. At that point you just prioritize convenience. So no product beats Iems other than maybe audiophile headphones or studio monitors. Even that is debatable since it comes down to preference, and not everyone wants to use speakers or get their heads cooked by the summer heat. If I were to choose one audio product for the rest of my life, it would be Iems. I've been eyeing the Blessing 3s for a long while. Matter of fact, I wanted them since day one. They seem to be the perfect ones, but you never know because sound is subjective. I glorified the flat sound curve, and I was under the impression that all Iems boast a flat sound curve. In reality, all Iems boast a cleaner, high-fidelity sound with good tuning, as we described just a second ago. I have a tendency to desire what's cheapest with the highest performance. I like products that punch above their weight class. Hence my love for Iems and any and all products that perform similarly. Being able to get big returns for little effort, whereas most people will just live out. Call it computer building or building your own products for a fraction of the retail cost, such as leather goods or computers. Thankfully, such optimization does exist in the IEM space. Although limited, so squeezing out performance is usually marginal, since some settings can introduce some unwanted distortions or clipping. I'm referring to EQing. My first pair was the KZ-ZS10 Pro 2s. I used them from start to finish on my Cyberpunk playthrough, and many times have I been deceived by an in-game NPC and mistaken it for my partner calling me or asking me something in the distance. I was amazed how much detail it picked up. Then I got a cheaper pair, the Chu 2s. I wanted to have something replaceable while in Bangladesh, in case I get robbed or lose them in a crowd, etc, etc. They sounded awful until I EQ'd them to the Harman curve. So the red is my custom tuning and the yellow is the default out-of-the-box experience. I was able to make them sound exactly how I liked it. It was the first pair that allowed me to find my preference thanks to the DSP cable. So now that I know what I like, the Blazing 3 became even more enticing. Not just the price to performance, but also how people would describe it. My issue with Iem videos as a non-baller and non-sponsored consumer was that they said how the product is without any reference point for us who couldn't afford to try it out. So it would just promote curious consumerism. So to counter that, I'll try my best to give you a better understanding of each of the Iems in my possession, and I'll throw in my mainstream products as well, and compare between them. Let's start with the mainstream products as a base, since I assume most people have them in their possessions, or at least some version of them. So the Bose Quiet Comfort 2025 model are good if you've mostly been exposed to wireless or cheaper wired earbuds, such as the Sony MDR EX15APW White. I don't fucking know. The Bose specifically have a muffle sound feel to it. Imagine construction ear protection or covering your ears with your hands while cupping them. The sound unfortunately also reflects that. EQ helps, but fidelity is still low, due to hardware and also wireless protocols. Moving on to wireless earbuds, they're much better depending on what brand you go with. Personally, I started with the One More Piston buds at 40 USD, and I really enjoyed those for the price. Then I moved on to the Nothing Ears first gen. They were so bad in passive isolation that my old wired Sonys did a better job at cancelling outside noise. I did like the aesthetic, but after they stopped working due to connection issues, I got some Zabra Elite 4 Actives for the same price due to warranty policies. But once the Zabras also failed, I gave up on wireless and stuck to wired and my second-hand Bose. Until Iems. But wireless earbuds are good for low fidelity, or rather standard streaming quality with good EQ capabilities that allow you to customize the sound to a desired and enjoyable sound, with compromises only being on the ANC compared to bigger headphones, of course, but yeah. They provide convenience above all else and strike a good balance between convenience and good sound. By far, the biggest jump from the two categories above. Even when using budget Iems and comparing MP3 to FLAC, the difference is noticeable. It's even more noticeable when you use more resolution focused Iems, such as the Blessings that boast a less distorted sound. The so-called cleaner sound is best described as, let's say, compressed audio versus uncompressed audio. Imagine 320 kilobyte MP3 file compared to a FLAC, or something more visual being like 144p versus like 4K. Talking about distortion, I found the KZ-ZS10 Pro 2s to be the worst, despite the so-called mid-range price range of around 80 USD. It was the most distorted and least enjoyable tuning out of the bunch. So much so that during my blind test, I genuinely thought they were the cheapest pair. Unfortunately, I couldn't get them on the graph to compare due to lack of coverage. But even then, you cannot read distortion from a graph anyways. The Chu 2s had a muffled, jar-like effect, just like many other Iems at this price point. that part is actually visible on the graph, so the DSP cable was basically a godsend. It made them genuinely enjoyable. Unfortunately, I never got to compare them to the gates because the DSP cable on the True 2 started having a mind of their own. It would randomly raise the volume and ear beep me or play and pause music, especially when I was outside, even when nothing was running in the background. So automatically they would become a pair I disliked, because without the DSP cable, I couldn't enjoy them at all. Their entire use case relied upon EQ. So out of curiosity, I picked up the Truth Ear gates, since they were super cheap here locally, about 16 USD. And once I heard them, I instantly preferred them over the 10 or so other pairs within the same price range that I got to test listen. Some had more bass than others, but all of them sounded muffled or lacked in vocals. Even pairs that costed about like 60 USD, like the Caffeine de Leche, sounded worse than the gates. Another lovely case of price to performance. The gates completely removed my reliance on DSP and EQ altogether. And that is also why I couldn't just replace the broken DSP cable with a normal 3.5 cable I already had lying around. Yes, the stock tuning is that bad, enough that I was willing to tolerate random eardrum destroying volume spikes. Anyways, as you can see on the graph, the gates closely resemble my EQ True 2s. And I will leave the Blazing 3s for the blind test section. Now this is all talk so far, no different than what other reviewers do. So let's put my ears where my money is, or how? Well, before we get into that, I would like to point out that I personally prefer the Harman 2019 Target with a slight vocal boost, specifically at the 1 to 3K region. I tend to experience the audio as more open, with a wider soundstage and a better instrument separation, basically making it more immersive. So to clear up any cheating accusations, I did the blind test as soon as I got the Blazing 3s, so December 12th of 2025. I didn't sit on them trying to memorize all their characteristics beforehand. My partner was the one who was putting on them for me.
Is it you?
Yeah. Placebo is completely out of the question because I have no clue. These are cheaper Iems. I don't need to listen more. Can I get the other Iems quickly? These feel the same. The soundstage is very close. Next Iem. These are cheap. I cannot tell if it's the True or if it's the KZs. Next full set of Iems, please.
Now we're doing a full set of these.
These are expensive. This has to be the Blessing, I think. I can hear the audio coming from the right to the left, and there's some imbalance. Yeah, these are expensive. These are Blazing 3. Don't give me Blazing 3 anymore. I know these are the Blazing 3. Unless I'm completely out of touch.
I'm gonna make you compare this to another pair now.
I know these are the Blazing 3 for sure.
Okay, you can think that.
No question about it. And if I'll look stupid in the video, that's fine. But take this out. I want to compare the other two. I'm that arrogant, yes.
This is the last comparison that we do now.
I want to compare the cheaper pairs between two twos and KZ. I know these are Blessing 3. Like, I'm not mistaken, right? Like, can I show the camera?
No.
Can I show the camera?
Yeah, you can show the camera. You want me to lift up the
No,
DJI?
that's fine. Keep the DJI there. These are the Blessing 3s for
Okay,
sure.
let me do a last comparison and trust me, okay?
For sure.
Alright. Here's the last comparison.
Mm-hmm. The left one are cheaper than the right one. The left one are cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Wait.
I'm gonna put one last one here.
I think the left ones are the true twos based off of how the bass is underwhelming and very monotone.
Alright.
But I've tried to change my true twos into a Harman graph, so they're not default true twos.
Okay, I'm gonna pause.
Okay.
And I'm gonna give you a last one in this ear.
Okay.
And I want you to compare it, and then we're done.
But the right one should be the Blessing. They're expensive pairs, no?
You have tried all combinations. I've
tried all combinations.
Yes, you tried all.
But could I try the last thing that I try after what you're trying to make me try? Because I guess you also wanna.
Is the True 2 and the T.
And the KZs. Yeah.
You wanna do that?
Do what you wanna
Even
do
if
first.
you've already done that?
Yeah, because I didn't know that I was doing it.
Okay, you wanna do it now that
I just know which one was more expensive, which one
How
was
about
cheap.
I put it in now then?
Okay, alright.
So change of plan. He's
You
getting.
can take out both at the same time, because I have a feeling I know that the left one is true twos. If you keep them in, I'll know. And the right one has to be Blessing, I think. Because the right one is more expensive, I'm not sure. I hope you're showing the people which one you took.
Trying. You're kind of.
I'm sorry if I'm stressing, I see nothing, okay? And you know, you are low.
Okay, so he just compared these two.
Which one was left, which one was right here? Let them know.
So this one was the right ear, and this one he had in the left ear just now.
The left ear should have been true to, is my guess. The right ear is probably either Blessing or KZ. I couldn't really hear the bass because there wasn't time to swap left and right. But I think the right one was more expensive. Probably the Blessing due to the syllabus.
Okay.
Syllabus.
Interesting.
Interesting.
And now you want to compare the
Cheap.
KCs?
Yeah, the cheap ones. The KZ ZS10 Pro 2s. 2 Pro, I mean. And the True 2s.
So he's gonna get this one in the right ear
Mm-hmm.
and this one in the left ear.
Mm. The left one have to be the True 2s. I think I'm right on that one. It sounds very monotone. Bass is underwhelming. Everything sounds kind of flat. And not in the good way. Give me the right one. The right ones are the KZs for sure. It's much brighter, more V-shaped. The bass is nicer. The vocals are more louder and sound more real, rather than sounding like I'm in a under the blanket or in a box. There's more reverb. Yeah, can I take out my blindfold and see?
Yeah, you can take out.
Because I'm very sure we're done, right?
Yeah.
With all the
We've
combinations.
tried all the combinations now.
After we did the cut, because we did a little cut, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's fine. I'll figure it out. You have helped enough. Oh, it's so bright. No way. No way.
You said so much weird stuff.
How come? They sound so much better. What the fuck?
You'll have fun watching this video, I'll tell you that.
The True 2s came surprisingly close to winning. I ranked them between the Blessings and the KZs, and mistakenly assumed that they were the KZs, simply because I thought the price would reflect the audio quality. In reality, a small tweak towards someone's preferred tuning almost won the race. The Blessing 3s are by far the cleanest pair in my collection. enough to make me get rid of my bows and my KZs, and as a promise not to overconsume, I'll also get rid of my True 2s. Even when using my Echo Mini D.A.P, I still find the Blessing 3s to sound far cleaner and less distorted than the Gates or the True 2s. Even if the True Theory Gates are more enjoyable tonally, I still notice the distortion in the audio compared to the Blessings. Ignoring price range for a second here, so normal people can understand the comparison, the best way I can describe it is, as I said, it's like going from 720p to like 4K. The True Theory Gates being the 720p offering, and the Blessing 3 being the 4K. The only reason I even noticed the difference was because I tried them side by side. If I had never tried them, I probably wouldn't have cared or even known what to listen in for. And it couldn't have been placebo because I never even saw them or touched the pairs. I won't even bother talking about the KZs. I now understand why they get so little coverage. They market themselves as multi-driver Iems, yet somehow perform worse than a single dynamic driver set. Kind of embarrassing. This is a case of ignorance being bliss, because if I never tried the Blessings, I wouldn't have known about the resolution difference, and I would have happily preferred the cheaper pairs. I did dislike the sibilance on the Blessings though, and now after 5 months, I can confidently say I got used to it. I notice it more on tracks with aggressive hit-hats or J-pop songs, where sometimes I need to lower the volume to avoid getting fatigued. And yes, fatigue is real. Is real? Benjamin Netanyahu, if you can hear this, please save us. But certain tunings absolutely can hurt your ears or your head over single sitting use. Whether that is bass heavy tuning or treble or sibilance you're sensitive to, it will affect you. So to counter that, I EQ'd my Blessings like this. I slightly increased the bass and lowered the trebles. Doesn't sound like much or seem like much from the graph, but once combined with boosted vocals, it balances everything out and makes the Blessing sound more mellow for longer listening sessions. There were even times where I forgot to enable the EQ on my Dawn Pro 2s and I didn't even notice it until much later, which says a lot about placebo in this hobby. The Echo Mini is a dedicated music player that supports different audio formats, including FLACs. And when I first tried the Blessings on my phone, the audio sounded terrible, which led me down to a rabbit hole trying to figure out why. Because I was sitting there with all the correct hardware, yet somehow everything sounded worse than it did on my computer. Turns out, my phone wasn't the issue. Quite the opposite, most dedicated music players actually run on Android anyways. The issue was software, specifically Android audio handling and codec. I went through a ton of awful music player apps. Most of them had terrible UIs. I hated all of them. And one day, I got some Christmas money gift. And I decided to buy the Echo Mini. Not just because of the price to performance, but because the battery is replaceable. And if you know anything about electronics, you know that the battery is usually the first thing to degrade. Even after 3 or 4 years, a device can feel brand new again with just a fresh battery. In all honesty, I didn't need a dedicated music player, but during commutes, it is genuinely nice. There is also a much cheaper solution though, using apps that bypass the Android default audio path. The one I settled on was the VIO app. It bypasses the default Android codec and routes the audio directly through whatever DAC or dongle you're using. In my case, the Dawn Pro 2s. So this is the boot animation. This is the main menu. The borders are less bright on the final version. Here's some of the icons. Each one of them are custom made. The albums and artists is slightly offsetted due to a pixel shift, which I'll obviously fix in the final version also, so nothing to worry about. The media library refresh looks like this. it didn't fully load, but yeah. This is DAC mode. It animates once and if audio is detected. Volume animation utilizes the same waveform animation and perfectly loops, of course. I fucked up on this selection and it actually is not accurate to what you choose. So I'll need to sort that one out also out in the final version. But other than that, this is the static image you get while transferring. Charging animation. No cover art view. With cover art view, making sure all the pixels are perfect, including the icons on the left and then the heart also. Lastly, the shutdown screen with a QR code, because a bit of credit for my month-long hard work seems a little deserved, but if you'd like to remove it, I'll make sure to upload all of the files, so even provide an alternate shutdown screen if you wanna just change that out, and I'll show you how to change that also. It looks better in real life because the camera picks up on the backlight, to which normally you cannot really see, and here's some pictures with less bloom on them. And then I'll show you how to customize and change out stuff. Okay, so due to the lack of tutorials on how to make your own theme, I thought since I'm making this whole thing, I might as well just show people how to customize their own theme. So you just download whichever firmware you currently prefer. I would have normally gone with like the latest one, but ever since 3.4 they added this this thing over here, to which I hate, because whenever the device is turned off I cannot just like double press or like hold in for the volume and stuff. So instead I opted out to roll back to 3.3, and since Live Track has still to upload any pictures, I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'll just make my own theme. And I hate the fact that people have not really, I hate the fact that there isn't any good tutorial out there. So I'll just show you how to do it. And yeah, you just download your firmware. Once you download it, you go to this website and you just drop in the firmware, just the firmware image. I'm leaking everything here. Oh hell no, oh hell no. So you just drag in your image file, and if you just want to upload any changes after downloading my files and made your own preferred changes, then you just go here. If it's the boot animation, you just drop in the video here, and then you'll automatically do it. I'll give you an example here. There. Once you do that, you'll see that it's animating perfectly. And once you do that, you just press apply. The fonts I haven't touched, so I wouldn't know what to do. But on the other hand, over here you have each separate element, but since I've extracted this thing, so what I did is basically I downloaded the zip file and I got all the assets for the find the folder here. Yeah, so I've downloaded all the assets and I have them on my computer. I've just gone in, used them as a base in Photoshop and made my changes on them, and I had to basically also hunt down which ones are for my theme, because at first I used to have like placeholders. If you see the original Reddit post. So yeah, once you're done and you have your folder ready with all your customized assets, just drop them in, and you do that by pressing sequence replacer. Nope. You press import files, and you just select everything essentially. And if there's anything that gets an error, it will show up as an error. So yeah, I didn't have any errors, so there you go. Now you can see the updated ones. And what you do is you just press save firmware, and it will save it with a specific name and the date. What I do is just take the same name of the original firmware and rename it. I don't know if there is any point in doing that, but I rather not boot loop my shit, so I did it that way. And right, make sure to change it to image. Just rename the whole thing. Ignore my one over there. Yeah, it's that simple and it's that easy. And also, right, you don't have to worry about any sort of image size, because it'll just automatically convert from a PNG to a BMP file, and BMP files don't really rely on file size. Just make sure that you're using the original file as a base in Photoshop, or have the exact pixel count on everything. That's about it. That easy.